thing?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, they say it's good. All right. Let's get into this then. Um, so I don't think that you have very good opinions on what on objective art criticism or in general, but we can apply it to GD levels since that's what we're both familiar with.
All right. However, I want to make sure that you know well what my actual opinions are because some stupid people like Flarone has put my messages out of context, which made me look like some guy who doesn't give a single shit about soul, about putting any effort into the levels. So, what do you think I think about GD levels and rating them?
Well, for the important part is that you seem to think that there are a list or there's some set of criteria that one can use to objectively determine whether or not a level is good. Um, and that even if there's some ambiguity on the exact application of things, these criteria are important, and as a result we should take them to be objective in some sense, like they make true descriptions of uh whether or not a level is good. Does that more or less sum up your opinion?
My opinion is that there are indeed objective criteria, but it's not all that matters because some levels can be, it's hard to say for me in English, but they can be viewed as bad even if they're objectively nice. I will and we'll talk about that later. However, speaking of the objective criteria, you disagree that there are objective criteria about rating levels, right?
Yes. Well, when you say rating, I assume we mean like rating the quality, not rating
Yes,
the.
rating the quality, of course.
Yeah. No, I do not think that there are any objective uh qualities one can point to with respect to rating levels. Like you can make objective statements about levels. Like you can say at 50% there's red on the screen. Like that's an objective statement about a level. Um but you can't say that it's objectively good or bad that the level has red at 50%.
Speaking of that, I believe that there are objective criteria because we all are humans and we don't take every piece of art, by art in this case, I mean GD levels,
Mm-hmm.
in a purely unbiased way because we are, by evolution, by all this biological shit, are programmed to view some things as nicer things and some things as worse things. For example, there was a huge study which has found out the most repulsive color. I don't remember which color it was. It was something between brown and green.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the respondents replied that they found this exact shade disgusting. This is why sweets, for example, like not everyone likes sweets, like sweet taste. Some
Mm-hmm.
people don't like it, but most people do enjoy it. That's just because how we are as humans. And in terms of art, there are nicer color combinations, for example, which are more appealing to us just because we are made like this. So I believe that there can be tastes. Tastes can differ. There's
Mm-hmm.
no denying that. However, there is that basic level on which the absolute most of opinions will come to one point, if you understand what I mean. And the higher we get in terms of quality, the more important the subjective aspect of the art is. Because, for example, comparing Kuluk to Blee is entirely subjective. Because they both are skillful as fuck. They can do their job perfectly. And which is more appealing to you? like over detailed realism or something more cartoony, more simple, is absolutely up for to you to decide. However, when you compare Kolok to some amateur, should we say, creator who isn't that experienced, there are differences which aren't just preferences. For example,
Mhm.
color usage, for example, composition, and all this thing which actually involves how we as humans see it, and it also involves a shit ton of theoretical knowledge of science which has formed for thousands of years. Color theory, composing theory,
Cool.
those
So,
things, they
okay.
exist for a reason.
So if I can try to just summarize, you seem to think that like maybe at the upper echelons of GD levels, there's room for subjectivity and taste, but there's some like bare minimum standard that is objectively correct. And like before we even talk about subjective qualities, we need to we can eliminate a whole bunch of levels based on completely objective neutral statements about things. That seems to be your position.
About the first half, yes. About the second half, I quite don't get what you mean by that.
What I mean is that like how do I explain this? There are what you're saying, it seems like, is that some levels are objectively worse than others. Like and you can just I don't know, like when it comes to some things, like there's just so obvious and there's so much widespread agreement that you can basically say it's objective. Whereas once you get to other levels that meet all those bare minimum standards, then subjectivity comes in. Is that what you're saying?
I still prefer the initial way you phrased it, that there is some minimum
Mm-hmm.
which can be objectively rated, but I'll put it in a bit different form. There are preferences and there are objective criteria,
Okay.
and that's it. That's
So
pretty much
okay,
it.
so I want to make the argument that objective criteria just are preferences. I think that um like what all the things that you're saying about like widespread agreement or evolution or whatever, like none of this really has to do with true quality. All it's saying is that there are a lot of people who agree that something is bad. It doesn't really show that this is um any way sense important. Like I don't think I should have to care about what other people think in this context. So, you mentioned the color, right? Like
Yes.
the color that was rated most repulsive by most people. Um if somebody comes along and says that actually that's their favorite color, what makes them objectively wrong other than just that they disagree with the majority opinion? Is there something beyond that, or is it merely that they disagree with the majority of other people?
In that exact example,
Mm-hmm.
as I said, nothing would make them wrong because it was about like 70% of people have picked this color. There will be just in minority. However, color isn't art. A shade of color is just a shade of color. It doesn't require any skill to
Um,
make.
that's not necessarily true. Like there are paintings that are famous just for their color work. Like Who's Afraid of Red, Yellow, and Blue um is a good example of this because it's a really simple painting, right? Have you heard of Who's Afraid of Red, Yellow, and Blue?
I'm not into all those paintings. I'm just saying
Okay.
that in this specific example, we are not talking about a painting. We are talking about a single color,
Okay,
which
but
was not
my
even made as art.
the painting is like almost entirely one color. Like it's like almost entirely red with like a stripe of blue and a stripe of yellow. But what
And
so the thing is though is that um the reason that the painting is considered impressive in a lot of cases is because the color work is so good. The painter like created the shade of red themselves, um, and it was so good, in fact, that after it was vandalized, like the painting was vandalized, they couldn't restore it because they couldn't get the shade correct. So, you know, you say like a single color can't be art, but and because it requires no effort. But for one, it seems like it requires quite a bit of effort, or at least it can require quite a bit of effort just to make a color. And second of all, and maybe more importantly, why should I have to care about effort? Like, what makes effort objectively good as opposed to a lack of effort?
I probably phrased it a bit wrong because I said my English isn't perfect. What I tried to say with that, I'll first reply to your second statement
Mm-hmm.
that I meant that it was not supposed to be art in the first place. If I put some phrase which made it all about effort, okay, am I wrong that I couldn't phrase it properly? But that's not what I meant. What I meant, the only thing I meant, is that this color, it was not meant to be art. It was just a picture of a color, like nothing besides that. And what you're trying to compare this to was meant to be art, and it actually took some effort. And I don't really want to get back to this subject about those very abstract paintings because they aren't meant like for the majority to enjoy. They are a very specific destination of art, if you understand what I'm saying, that is should cannot be compared to regular paintings because they are made with an entirely different purpose, and the process, the idea of the art, you can only understand it if you are some if you can only give a proper opinion on this art if you understand like what's the idea behind it, because just saying oh that's just a blend color will be kind of stupid because you just don't understand why and for what this was made and what's actually impressive about it.
So
That's not like for general enjoyment, and GD levels are
So
in
okay,
most
so
cases.
your basic argument is that um stuff like abstract art that's not meant for public consumption, or it's not meant for widespread consumption, and thus it has different goals and shouldn't be judged by the same standards as a GD level, which is meant for widespread consumption.
Yes, and I'm talking specifically about GD levels which are made for public consumption, as I said, because you can make an shit English so fucking difficult, but you understand the idea that there are GD levels which are also not meant for everybody.
Sure, but you understand that I I don't see how you can reconcile that with there being objective criteria, because how do you know that the levels you think are objectively bad just aren't meant for you?
This is a good question, but I can reply to it because I do believe that when a project, uh, I mean, it's actually it's not a good question because this is a very abstract question and it's not involving specific levels. Because debating about some abstract level that I don't like, but it's just not meant for me, it's pointless. We need to talk about specific examples because every level is different. Is different.
um I mean, sure. What's a level you think is objectively bad?
Objectively bad. Dashing explodes, for example. That's my first call up. I believe it's objectively bad.
Sir, what is this level called?
I'll just type it.
um oh shoot, I closed the game. Sorry, stream, I didn't realize you had no visuals. Dash and explode. Okay. Sorry, I have GD open right now. Sorry, you think this level is objectively bad, to be clear?
Yes, and I've picked specifically it just to counter that argument that it could be just not meant for me. I hosted it and I know that it was meant for the wide public, but I do declare that it's objectively bad.
So what about this level is objectively bad exactly?
Let me find a video to be more clear. I'll turn on screen share.
Okay, sure.
So, that's a bad video. Okay, I think that's a better one.
Mhm.
At first, we see this first part. What makes it objectively bad is horrible composing. This horrible composing is a direct result of us, due to it being our first level, putting a very inexperienced gameplay creator in
Sorry,
the
to be
level
clear, what
here.
did you say? Horrible what?
I'll try to get how this is called in English. Let me.
Is it composition? Is that what you're
Yes, composition.
Okay.
How shit is arranged in the level, how it works together with each other.
Okay.
That's one of the criteria, I believe, which can be judged objectively.
So what if someone came along and they told you, actually, this is my favorite of every Team Cherry level. Nay, it's the best Team Cherry level. What would you say to them to
I
tell
would
them?
ask them, what are you smoking, my friend?
Okay, but that's not you understand that that's not really a response to what they're saying, right? Like it just like what if the things that you think are bad about it are the reasons that they think are there it's good? Like you're saying that this is bad composition. Personally, I mean, I don't see this as particularly bad composition. It's fine. It's not something it's not something that I really like, but if they came along and said, actually, I love when levels look like this, or when the gameplay looks like this, when the structures are put around the level exactly like this is exactly what I'm looking for in the level, um why would they be wrong about that?
It would depend on what would they answer to my actual questions. Not about smoking, but about why do they consider this composition to be nice. I can explain why I don't consider it nice. Because it has bad camera usage. It's using the y-axis in a horrible way, in which uh, for example, on this specific frame, we tried our best to fix it. However, we couldn't fix it entirely.
Just
Uh,
to also to be clear, can I show this to stream? Like, can I?
yes, of course,
Okay,
it's meant to be like this.
okay, I just wasn't sure. Anyway.
All right, so most of the screen is covered with a huge pile of ground. This video isn't of the best quality, but I couldn't find any other video about that level. So
Mm-hmm.
the structures on top, they're cut in half. That's not supposed to be like this. And I remember the creator of this pod, Konzi, who made this part live in call, he was complaining about that it's impossible to make nice structures here that fit well into the screen. So again, we see a very unmotivated rise of the gameplay. In my opinion, in art, if you make something accidentally and you didn't plan it, then in most cases, I believe in nice accidents, but they're a minority in all cases. In most cases, it looks like shit. Here we have uh, four structures, the two of which are boring as fuck. They just are rectangles. I'm speaking of the most left structure and the bottom left structure, like that. And for some reason, there are curvy shapes in those structures as well, which don't work so well here. And the top structure is yet another rectangle. And this doesn't look so great because it's very unbalanced.
Okay,
Why is it
sure.
unbalanced? Because it doesn't work with each other, and there's a huge pile of ground
Mhm.
which wasn't planned, which is here just because of a mistake of another person
Okay,
who made the
okay.
gameplay.
So here's the thing though. What if somebody likes it when levels are imbalanced? Like this hypothetical anti-Vernam comes in and they say, actually, all the things you're pointing out, the fact that the structuring, like so many of them are just blocky. I actually like it when structures are blocky because I'm able to see them better and understand what they are. Um, and I like it when there's a lot of black on the screen because I don't like a whole lot of brightness in my levels. Um, I like it when levels are unbalanced because like I don't know. I think that it's more interesting when there's asymmetry in the level than when it's all just like symmetrical and uniform. You know, like
That's a lot of takes. I would like to respond to the ones I was able to remember.
okay, wait, but
At
can
first,
I just explain that like
yes.
the point isn't that these are good or bad reasons. The point is that ultimately you can respond to them and you can say like actually I don't think that this is a good thing for this reason or that reason. But at the end of the day, it's going to bottom out in a subjective judgment about what you like to see and what you don't like to see. And two people can have two different ideas of what they like and don't like to see, and neither of them are going to be incorrect.
I disagree because those points you've mentioned, they aren't valid. They
Why not?
aren't valid because that black ground, okay, this dude likes when there's a lot of black on the screen.
Yep.
This ground could be any color. It's not a color. You're trying to blend together everything. This is a very specific issue of bad composition. You're trying to say that it's nice because there's a lot of black on the screen in this example.
Mm-hmm.
It could be any color. It
Okay.
doesn't make any sense.
Okay, but it wasn't any color. It was black. Like I if you say a level has bad colors in general, like is it a valid response to just say, "Oh, well the level could have been a color that you like, so therefore you have no reason to think that it's a bad coloring." Like
I
that
didn't say anything about bad colors. I said about color usage. Color usage requires skill, especially in Geometry Dash, because you have to use the colors using a very limited, I have no idea how to call this, tools,
Mhm.
objects, and it takes some skill to make it like this. When we try to look at this part, for example, I say that the color usage here is bad. And I say it because it looks gloomy as fuck. And most importantly, I know why it's gloomy as fuck.
Okay.
And the reason behind that is that the creator couldn't make it better. He wanted, but he couldn't,
So
because that would require some actual skill, which Gonzi in this specific destination didn't have back then.
okay, sure. But what if somebody likes it when the level is gloomy? Like I understand from this creator, the creator of this part, was to make it brighter, was to make it different than this. However, they didn't have the skill to do it. But I don't really think that skill has to do with quality necessarily. Skill isn't like I guess you can say that there's a correlation depending on who you're talking to, but skill has more to do with whether or not you're able to do things in the editor that you want to be able to do. So somebody who is more skilled is going to be able to um, put to canvas exactly what's in their head, basically. But that doesn't mean that what they're making is quality. They could be extremely skilled at making levels that are very, very bad. And I would argue that in some cases, creators get worse. Oh, sorry. Sometimes creators get worse as they or they make worse levels as they get more skilled. Like I think that this is a phenomenon that a lot of people have experienced where they they fall in love with like a creator or a band or an artist or whoever else, right? And they fall in love with that person's early work, and over time the artist starts making new things that they don't like as much, even though their like production has gotten better, right? Like sometimes what you like about something has nothing to do with the creator's skill or the artist's skill, and way more to do with what's actually in the level. So all this is to say that it doesn't matter if this creator wanted to make it different but couldn't because they weren't skilled enough. If somebody likes the way that it actually is, then I don't see why that would make them wrong. I don't see what's objectively incorrect about their judgment.
At first, I'm not a big fan of putting too many analogies. I have no idea how it's called in English when you try to give an example of some another abstract situation. Why do that when we have this subject to discuss already? We have levels, etc. I
Well,
see what you're trying to say. Like, no matter how right can sound what I say, there can be people which like the levels for that specifically.
yes.
That's nice. However, they shouldn't then try to make it look like they're objectively right because they're liking what is considered mistakes, actually.
Um
They can like it. They can like this amateur vibe, you know. Like, I understand this. However, this taste is it is not like trying to pick the right word here. It's kind of abnormal, you know.
okay. But why does them being abnormal make them wrong? Like there's a throughout Geometry Dash, standards for good levels have changed. Like it used to be that memory gameplay was kind of just the expected norm, right? If you've ever played old Demons, there's a lot of like mazes and um like fake orbs and all this kind of stuff, right? And at the time people liked that sort of thing. But nowadays we
No,
what do you mean
literally
no?
no. I mean that,
Did
how old are you in this game? Like, from which year you're
I've been
playing?
playing since 1.6.
1.6. That's nice. I've been playing and starting public projects since 2013.
I don't know
And
when that what like update is that?
that was 1.0.
Okay, so you've been in the game since 1.0. And
Yes.
you're sure that nobody liked the memory gameplay even though everybody made their levels like that.
I'm sure that nobody knew what a memory gameplay is back then, my
Okay,
friend.
sure. They didn't intentionally do memory gameplay. The point is though is that they made things presumably that they liked to play. And nowadays we look back on that and we don't really enjoy it anymore, or at least we don't use those same kinds of features in our current levels, right?
What do you mean? Memory levels are still kind of big,
So
and
not okay.
a lot of current levels which aren't supposed to be fully memory, you know, they are memory levels in fact, because they have like what actually changed over time is the click patterns. In most recent level, the average CPS is way higher because nowadays there is a criteria everyone is trying to follow, and that's making your level synced to music, about which nobody gave a single fuck for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
So but that's the thing
I
though is that
didn't really get replaced. That's just evolved in what we have in average easy demon now. And what you meant before also doesn't really make any sense because back then it was very simple. People just didn't like difficult levels. They didn't like when they can't beat level in an hour, for example.
yeah.
And it drove people angry. That's why there's a shit ton of disliked hard demons from that epoch.
Sure,
It's as
but are
simple as
they
that.
okay? But that kind of gets to my point, right? That over time, standards in the Geometry Dash community have changed. Like they and if you were transported back then and you wanted to like make a level as hard as some of the ones that we have right now, people would be like incensed. They would not appreciate your artistic vision at all.
Yes, and it doesn't contradict.
If you were transported back then and you wanted to like make a level as hard as some of the ones that we have right now, people would be like incensed. They would not appreciate your artistic vision at all.
Yes, and it doesn't contradict me in any way. Like literally.
Well, it
Yes, our game changed a lot. Look at the editor before. Like, can you really judge color usage? Like you can, but it should be judged differently in 1.9 when you have only four colors, and it's
why?
way harder to get color combinations that we can get today easily.
I
That's
mean
the issue.
maybe, but I think that color usage has actually degraded since 1.9, partially for the reason that you can just do anything. I think that in modern levels we actually have very bad coloring. Um, but that's just my opinion. Like maybe you would disagree with that, but the point that I'm making here is not
This
that
opinion is invalid in my opinion
okay, but
because
why?
you're talking about some abstract modern levels.
No, I'm
That's
not talking about
pointless.
abstract modern levels. I'm talking about like mainstream extreme demons. Like I think that um like if you look at the hell levels on the top of the leaderboard right now, none of them really compare to Cataclysm in how well colors are being used. And Cataclysm is a 1.9 level. So like I don't think that this holds at all. And again,
Why?
maybe
Why
I'm
do you think? Give me an example of a hell level which is worse in terms of color usage than Cataclysm.
what's the one on the top? Is it like a Vernus or whatever? That's the one that's on the top right now.
Are you sure that it's correct to compare a level in an entirely different style, which is it hell themed? I'm
I
not
mean, it's
sure it
maybe
is.
it's fire themed. I don't know, but the point is that I really like the colors in Cataclysm way more than I like this. Um,
Why?
because the colors in Cataclysm contrast a lot more. They feel very vibrant. They pop out off the screen in a way that they don't here. Like if you look at this part, a lot of the colors are super desaturated. Like they're bright, but they're not full. Whereas in Cataclysm, the colors are bright and full, and you get a lot more variety. And this level isn't the worst at that. Like it does have variation more so than a lot of other levels, but it kind of just like blends all together for me in this level. Whereas in Cataclysm, you can have these very distinct, separate colors that all work together to make something beautiful. Like the piano ball part, like all of the structures are different colors as opposed to mixing colors. And, maybe maybe you like mixed colors, but I appreciate the fact that all of the structures are different colors because it gives it prevents it from getting super homogenized. Again, nothing I'm saying here is like objectively true. Like I'm not saying that if you like Cataclysm, or rather, sorry, if you dislike the way that Cataclysm uses colors, you're wrong. The point is just that I don't agree with you that like color usage has gotten better over time. I think it's gotten worse over time. And
I
am I
haven't said that it's gotten better if I remember correctly. What I meant is that it's different.
sure,
It's just different, and uh, our editor is very different. I
sure.
don't remember saying that color usage
Okay.
got better
maybe
nowadays.
maybe i'm maybe i'm wrong to say that you said it was better, but you are saying that you were implying that because 1.9 was more limited, that means that you should judge it differently because you can't get the same variety of colors. And I'm saying that even if that's true, like on a technical level, on an actual practice level, color variation has gotten worse, not better, in my opinion. And all this is just to say that this is not an objective statement. None of these are objective statements. These are all opinion, all of this. Like anything I say about this, anything you say about this will all be opinion. And we can argue about it. We can start to ask, we can like tease apart shared standards to try and find common ground. But if there is just an irreducible difference between our tastes, then there's nothing we can do at a certain point. And that's okay. It's okay for there to be disagreement that isn't resolved objectively.
What to begin with? At first, what I meant that in 1.9 we had way less tools, and Cataclysm actually having better colors than this sure is a bigger achievement than if someone made better colors than Avernus today. Just saying. But anyways, that doesn't really change anything, because what does is that you're right about Cataclysm being better than this. And it's better for a reason.
Well, okay, but I don't think that I'm right. Like, I think that...
And I do think that I'm right about this. This is the difference, because I look at this and I see what makes it feel worse. At first, horrible glow usage.
Mhm.
You know, you can disagree with me that color usage can be subjective or objective. I believe it can be objective because there is a shit ton of science behind it. When you make videos, for example, I have no idea if you have any recording on your camera, you get log footage which looks just fucking flat, and just see what any colorist guide will tell you.
Okay.
Adjust the contrast, make the contrast better.
Okay.
I do agree that let me finish, please.
Sure.
That there can be some people who prefer the flat look of the log footage. Okay, but that's abnormal, because what humans normally like is when footage is crisp, when it looks nice, and when it's just blend right off your camera, it just looks like shit. So the people can disagree with it. Okay, it's their business. But more, I have no idea if I should use this word, academically correct is that. That's what the majority would enjoy. That's how we are built. And that's how we compare people to each other. Because we use all this not just to rate the quality of the level. We have those criteria to compare one thing to another. Even you used an example, a comparison of two levels. This level, this specific screenshot, for example, is worse than Cataclysm because Cataclysm has better color usage. It's objectively better because in here the creator is unexperienced. He lets this crappy color, I have no idea, can I screenshot that? He just killed the fucking contrast by making this here, by his horrible glow usage.
Okay,
In Cataclysm, that's not present. In Cataclysm, the creator has actually the capability to use the colors correctly. In here, I do understand what will you say now. You'll say that there can be people who prefer this over Cataclysm because to their taste it looks better. However, specifically in color usage, their statements would go against any theory. If they have this weird ass taste, I don't think that this small percentage of people should be actually considered to say that what I mean isn't objective. For example, look at this structure here. It looks like fucking crap. It has no ideas. it's just random as fuck. It doesn't make any sense, and it wasn't supposed to be like this. It's just that the creator wasn't able to combine objects properly. This is a mistake, for example. He just put two objects that don't work with each other at all.
How do
Like
you know
they're
that was a
literally not
mistake?
supposed to look like
How do you
this.
know that was a mistake? How do you know that wasn't intentional on their part? Like, have you asked them?
Do I have to ask someone to make sure it's a mistake if you write a word wrongly? And does
Yes.
your teacher has to ask you like, is it a mistake? It's
Yes.
a fucking mistake. It's obvious.
No.
Wait, so
I don't think I
what?
don't. What if I misspelled it on purpose? How do you know I didn't?
Okay, so if you misspelled a word on purpose, that's not a mistake.
Okay, but that's my
The
thing.
word
It's
is
that
still correct.
the word mistake, what that means is that the creator wanted to do something and they messed up. They didn't do it correctly, or rather they didn't do it the way they wanted to. That's what it means for a mistake to that's what it means for something to be a
Okay,
mistake,
so
right?
you're claiming that there can be a chance that the creator went on purposely making the pot bad.
Um I mean, bad to you, maybe. But that's the thing, is that you can't define bad parts in terms of having mistakes, but then say that, and then when I say, well, maybe it wasn't a mistake, you pivot to, well, maybe they are, oh, so they were intentionally making it bad. How do you, my entire point, that's like going in a circle. You understand that, right? Like, that's circular reasoning.
And that's not really circular reasoning
Well,
because
it
I'm
is.
talking about specific examples. And in this specific example, those are two objects which don't work with each other because they're being used not in the way they were intended to be used. Because if you use it like this, it's like pressing two nearby notes on piano, you know? It
Mhm.
just makes the sound which is dissonating, like
Okay,
which sounds bad to you naturally. And
what
in here, the creator, okay, I may be wrong, and the creator could actually have trolled the host and purposely made it look bad. But those two objects, they look bad together like this.
they may
This
look
doesn't
bad to
make any
you.
sense.
It may look bad to you, but it might not look bad to somebody else. Like I'm actually pretty sure that it is intentional, because if you look, that same exact object is used throughout that entire thing in different sizes. Like it seems like um on that structure, but also this
What
structure. See, look,
what sense does it make, my friend?
what do you
Like,
mean, what sense does it make? Every structure like this in the level has that exact same pattern. Like, look, they're all using that exact, no, not in the same, okay, it's a, sorry, I shouldn't say the whole level because it's a mega collab, but I mean like this first part. Like, if you pause on any of those lava blocks, you will see those exact same things. it it's highly unlikely to me that this was unintentional. This seems very intentional. Like, see, like they're never matching up like you want them to. So it seems to me like the creator did exactly what they wanted to, and maybe you don't like what they did, but there's no sense in which like they've messed up here. They've made exactly what they wanted and you just didn't like it, and that's
I
okay.
disagree that the creator could have gone purposely for the objective to make it look broken. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but if every single object that looks like this in the part has these exact same discontinuities, then maybe it's you who's wrong about their intention. Like,
All
look,
right, so let's imagine that you're right, that the creator made it on purpose. Please explain me why in awareness there should be a fucking glitch horror like thing which
well,
looks like this.
okay,
Like
but
how is this
it's not my job
working with the level?
it's not my job to defend whether or not it's good. Like, my point isn't that it's good. I don't really like this level,
I'm
as I've
not
said.
asking you to defend why it's good. I'm trying to understand what purpose you can see here.
I'm not sure. Maybe they wanted it to look broken. That's it. Like, maybe there
I
was no
mean,
other reason for it
why
beyond
there
that.
should be like why there should be a structure which looks broken randomly in the level?
I don't know. Like,
I
I
mean, if you
haven't
don't
thought.
know,
No, I
you
don't. Why
look,
would I
bro. You
know?
don't know why it shouldn't be here, and I know why it shouldn't. That's the difference.
No, you don't know why it shouldn't be there. You know why you don't
It
like
shouldn't
it
be
being
here
there.
because it doesn't work with the rest of the level and the rest of the pod.
Okay, but again, what if they wanted it to be like that? What if they didn't want it
Then
to?
they're fucking stupid,
Okay,
like this.
but okay, you can't just like every time I give you an example of somebody having different artistic goals than you just call them stupid. Like, do you not understand how that like it becomes impossible for me to get my point across when every time I give you an example that like contravenes what you're saying, you just say, well, actually those people are stupid and wrong for doing what they did, and here's the objective criteria.
Wait, so for what they did, you're saying it like you are 100% sure that you know why and how this happened
Oh, I
in this
have okay,
specific
I'm not
case.
saying with 100% certainty. Like maybe they made the exact same mistake on every block design in the rest of the part, totally on accident. But I find it unlikely that it was a mistake. And again, even if it was a mistake, somebody could like it like this. That's all I'm saying.
If someone likes it like this, I would like to like. Do you personally like it like this?
Uh Not really, but I don't really like this level. So it's not
Well,
like I
I
don't
would
think
like to
I
see a
think
person.
these here's the thing. I don't think the rest of the block design is any better. I think a lot I think these are probably the best blocks in the part because at least they're visually interesting. Like they look kind of off, but I think that's kind of cool that they look a bit off, that they look a bit jank. The rest of the blocks, like the bricks, those just look boring and dull. So, you know, I think that this is better than the other ones. Again, I don't think it's particularly good, but
I mean, do consider this specific idea good, like making those two unaligned blocks here in one place.
um I could see it being used well in a level. I don't know what level, but
I mean,
there are plenty
right
of
here.
levels
I'm
with
not talking in some level. Right here.
right here specifically. I don't really like it, but if somebody did, I wouldn't say that they're objectively wrong. That's the difference between us, is that I don't think that my tastes are objective. Like, the fact that I don't like this says nothing more than that I don't like it. Whereas it seems to me that you think there's something objectively wrong with it not lining up, and your reasons for saying that have to do with like what we quote unquote naturally like. But there's always variation, and I don't think that there is.
You're blending my words together again.
Okay.
In this specific example, okay, I'll put it in a simpler way. In my opinion, like our biggest difference in our position is I believe that to everything there should be some explanation. Why this should be here, why this shouldn't be here, etc. You believe that anything is okay because someone can like it.
Yes.
That's our difference. And this is uh, how this is called philosophical question which doesn't have it like the right answer. I stay with my position, and my position is very simple. This shit just have no has no place here. Some people may disagree, but I
Okay.
don't really care because if those people
Okay.
think that this belongs here, that it's used here correctly, I'm all ears to hear their arguments because you know in this specific case or in general, when something has no idea behind it, this is what makes stuff for me tasteless. You know, this is what I'm talking about. And this specific block for me is tasteless because it has no idea behind it. The creator just dropped some random objects and it was
How
looking
do
like
you
that.
know? Like, what again? How do you know that they didn't do this with great intent? Like, sometimes making things intentionally dissonant, like intentionally unaligned, can evoke unease. Like maybe that's what they were trying to do. And maybe
Why should they? I mean, explain to me, please, why should there be an intentionally dissonant block design here?
why
This is
should there be?
supposed to be something between glow style and something between art style. Some parts are more glowy, like this one, and some parts are more arty.
I mean, again, I don't know because like I don't really like this style of level in general. So like I can't justify it to you because I'm not the creator, but not all creators are open about their justifications or what they're doing. And a lot of the things that come out of a level are emergent from other decisions. If do you know what like a spandrel is?
What?
Okay, so you know how bridges have or like how bridges have like arches, right?
No idea.
Okay.
That's
Um
some very specific English I don't want to talk about.
sure. The point is just that there can be um
What?
okay, so you know how bridges have or like how bridges have like arches, right?
No idea.
Okay.
That's
Um
some very specific English I don't want to talk about.
sure. The point is just that there can be aspects to a level that aren't intended by the creator that nonetheless come about through other design decisions they make. And somebody could like those things in the level. And indeed, they can believe that those are the reason that they like it, and for it to have been completely unintended by the creator. Because not everything is in your control as a creator. Like sometimes the design decisions you make just interact in such a way that it creates something new that you didn't intend, and that's okay. And indeed, I think that that's like something beautiful about levels. And maybe you disagree. Maybe you think it's better for everything in the level to be intentionally planned out. But there's a difference between our two viewpoints in that one of us is claiming to just be talking about their own preferences and tastes, whereas the other person is saying that their taste transcends other people's by virtue of it um being agreed upon by a wider variety of people, or because of some evolutionary reason or whatever, right? And I think that the fact that we philosophically disagree about what should be in a level is itself evidence of the fact that there isn't an objective answer to this.
Wait, can you please repeat what's the evidence that there is no objective evidence to this
The
again?
fact that both of us can disagree on what the criteria are for a good level is evidence of the fact that there maybe isn't an objective criteria in the first place.
In my opinion, an opinion can be objective. For example, in our case, I'm asking you specific questions, which normally a creator would ask. I have this background of hosting levels, etc. Like why this should be here, and so on. And you're just replying with, I don't know, I don't know. This is an example of why do I consider my opinion objective, because I know what I'm talking about. And unless I'm proven wrong, like,
Well,
there
to be
is
clear, the only
the
reason
reason.
I don't know is because I didn't make the level. Like I don't care about this level. I
I
don't
mean,
like it.
even if you did, why should this be here?
I
If you did.
if I did
Okay.
care about the level and I did like it, I don't know. I haven't been analyzing it. Like if we want to talk about a level I actually do like, I could give you a myriad of reasons why all the things work together. I've
This
written
will be
threads on
easier
I've written threads on Death
because it's
Moon. I've
pretty
written
funny. You're trying to prove me that a level you don't like isn't objectively bad, which doesn't make any sense.
I don't
So let's make it
why
more
doesn't that
interesting.
make any sense to you? Like why is it so hard to believe that I could dislike something but also think that if somebody likes it, they aren't objectively wrong?
The reason for that is, as I said, that you just cannot counter my arguments against this level.
I
This
can't
is it.
I okay, I can counter them by just saying that I disagree and that I like the things that you dislike. That's all I have to say. You can say it's dissonant. I can say I like dissonance. You can say dissonance has no place in a level like this with all these different styles, or not all these different styles, but rather this one very specific style of like glow decoration. And then I can say, well, dissonance is most effective when it's actually dissonant. If the entire level was dissonant, then it wouldn't be that dissonant. It would just be the same as the rest of the level. But the fact that the rest of the level is totally normal and this specific part has these dissonant things in it, that makes it even more dissonant than it would otherwise be. And I love that. You know, again, I'm not saying this is my actual opinion, but somebody could say that and they wouldn't be wrong. They would be fine in saying that. They would be correct for themselves and for their tastes. And maybe their tastes are weird, but having weird taste is not the same thing as having wrong taste. Does that make sense?
Maybe, but what doesn't make sense is that you're always trying to switch onto some theoretical people with some theoretical arguments. To me, if you cannot explain why this fits here, then your opinion just shouldn't be listened to. That's the big idea.
Okay, so because I can't explain why I like a level that I don't like, that means my
What?
opinion is bad? I'm confused. Like,
Wait, I'm also confused. If I can't explain why I like level I don't like, what did you mean?
it seems like you're asking me to explain why something is good when I don't think it's good. Like, the reason I'm offering a hypothetical person is specifically because I acknowledge the fact that there are other people out there who have different opinions than me. I saw people in chat saying that they liked the block design that you pointed out. Like, they said that they liked it. You know, it's not just hypothetical. Like, the people in chat were literally saying that they liked it.
Invite them to the call?
No, I'm not going to invite a random Twitch person to the call, because I don't know them. I don't want them to, like, come on and try to get me banned from Twitch. The point is just that, like,
I mean, bro, you don't get my idea. In my opinion, if you cannot explain your position on something, then this position isn't objectively correct. This is
well,
what
but
I mean.
I have explained my position. I've explained...
You, for example, you've said that to make something truly dissonant, it should be dissonant with everything. Okay, maybe, but what does it have to do with this specific structure? I'm talking only about this structure. If you always need to switch into some random examples,
you can't
that's
talk about
not
just
it.
a structure in isolation, because things only make sense in the context of their entire level. Like, if you try to isolate one structure, then you're taking away all of the context that makes you able to judge it. I don't care about, like, a structure in isolation, because I'm not playing a structure. I'm playing a level with multiple structures in it, right? Like, and one
Alright, how
structure
does it
can
change
look...
anything?
It changes something, because asking me to judge the structure in total isolation ignores the context that surrounds it and might make it good for somebody. Somebody might hate a structure, like, in total isolation, but then they might see it in a level that it really works in, and they'll be like, you know what? I don't hate this anymore. In fact, I think this is good in this specific context. No? Is that like impossible?
What's impossible for me to understand is why cannot you give me any explanation why this structure isn't objectively horrible? Like,
Because
this
I
is
just
what I'm
gave
asking
you a
for.
bunch of reasons somebody might like it.
That's not a reason.
Why isn't that a reason?
Because I'm asking you why the structure isn't objectively horrible, and the fact that someone can like it doesn't explain anything to me.
Well, because
Okay,
you're assuming from the outset that there is an objective reason.
I strongly believe there are objective criteria, and if I'm asking you about this structure, and instead of giving me a response about the structure, you have to mention some people. I don't give a single fuck about that person who says it's great or says it's okay. I want to talk not about this person, not about this hypothetical opinion. I want to talk specifically about the structure in this context.
But this, again, my entire point is that if that doesn't prove that there are objective criteria. My entire point is that if people can disagree and not be wrong, then that is just an admission that there is no objectivity to this. That's my entire point. And you're just saying, no, only talk about the structure, only talk about the structure. But I can't just talk about the structure, because I don't think that there is an objective answer to whether or not the structure is good.
I mean, if you can't just talk about the structure, then this is a point in which I'm literally right. I don't need to switch on. Some people may dislike it, or some people may say it doesn't fit. I'm saying why exactly I do believe it doesn't fit.
Yes, you're
Because
giving a bunch of reasons, but the reasons that you're giving for why it's bad do not prove that it's bad outside of your judgment of them. So it's not just that you
there are basics of composition, there are basics of
Okay,
colors, there are basics of how shit works together. If you don't agree with the basics, that's your problem, not mine.
Again, if I think if somebody disagrees with the basics, that doesn't make them wrong. The basics
I
could
don't
be
care
wrong.
how it's called to be wrong or not wrong. I'm just saying that there are criteria which is universally considered
But
universal
it's
and
not
objective.
universally considered objective, because
The
not
fact that
everybody
some
agrees.
Twitter people challenge those norms doesn't really make any sense to me. Like,
What do you
okay,
think universally means? Universally means everybody agrees, but not.
universally doesn't have to mean necessarily 100% of everybody.
Yes, it
They're
does.
like,
That's what the word means,
I
man.
mean, is Earth universally considered a sphere? Like,
No, it's not, because there are people who disagree, and maybe they shouldn't. They should say that the Earth is a sphere, or an oblate spheroid, or whatever, right? But it's not universally considered correct. It's just considered correct by the vast majority of people. Universally specifically means
okay, so you
everyone.
believe that Earth, for example, the shape of Earth is subjective?
No,
Because
I don't, because we can measure it. We can tell, like, we can actually, like, take pictures of the Earth and see that it is round, right? There is something in the world that we can actually measure objectively, like, we can quantify it. But with
so
something like
basically,
a
you're
level, we
saying that
can't
this science
quantify.
is superior to color science, for example.
Do you
Which is
understand? You understand that color science, like, when you talk about color science, you're talking about, like, how we perceive colors. It's not about, like,
that's
what
about it as
colors are
well.
good. No, it doesn't tell you what colors are good. It just tells you what colors people like on average. That's it. Liking something on average does not make it good. That's not how these
Like in
things work.
something on average doesn't make better than other combinations, because
Why?
basically,
That's just a
because let me
fallacy.
finish, bro. Let me finish. Because we are just built like that. That's the
Some
explanation.
people are on average, but not in totality. No, like, oh my god.
Can
You
you
understand? Okay,
explain yourself from a
do you
biological
know what a
position? Curious?
bandwagon fallacy is?
No.
Okay. The bandwagon fallacy is the idea that if everyone believes something, or if the majority believes something to be true, then that makes it true. That's a fallacy. It doesn't follow that if everyone believes something to be true, that makes it true.
And what it has to do with what are we talking about?
It has to do because what you're saying is just a bandwagon fallacy. You're saying that because people on average think that some set of criteria
They
is
don't
good.
just think there are reasons why they think this.
What?
There are reasons why they think this. You're just saying that,
No.
a majority just picked color blue for fun.
I mean, it is for fun from their perspective. Like, you can give like a bunch of different explanations for why they picked blue. We don't exactly know why. Like, I know blue is the most common color, but it's not or the most common favorite color, but that doesn't make it objectively the best color. Like, when you break it down by populations, it's
Doesn't I
completely
never
different.
say anything like this. And I even agreed that the most repulsive color isn't like the most repulsive color.
Okay, how can you reconcile those two things? If you say something like levels can be objectively judged to be bad because there is a standard that a majority of people agree on, but then you also say colors can't be objectively bad because even though there's a majority opinion on what colors are good and bad.
You're
Make that
comparing art to an element of art. Color is an element of art. This
okay,
is
but
a very
if
incorrect comparison, once
that's
again.
not the point. Like, yeah, obviously, well, for one, I
There
think
cannot be
single
any point
colors,
because that's an incorrect comparison.
I think single colors can be art, to be clear. But that isn't really the point that I'm making. The point is that if you think all that's needed for objectivity in judgment is for there to be a majority of people who agree on a standard, then surely that should also apply to color if it applies to art and geometry dash levels.
It's not enough, actually. I've never said it's just enough to have a majority of people
So then what is the
agree on
what do
something.
I need beyond a majority of people? Because I don't think that works at all. Like, there is a majority of people thinking something doesn't mean anything. So beyond
You
a
need a
major
reason, you need a base. That's what you need.
Okay, but the basis that you've been giving me is either that a majority of people like it or that you personally like it or dislike it. And that's it. Like, those are the grounding for all of these reasons is subjective judgments. You understand that, right?
You've just ignored
By the way,
a
I
whole
don't know if
shit of points.
you're sharing Minecraft on screen,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Okay. I'm just making sure that you understand. Um okay. Okay. I'm not really sure that this is going anywhere. I feel like we've kind of exhausted what
I'm
we can
not.
I said no, sorry. Exhausted is not like I'm not saying that you're exhausted. I'm saying that we have exhausted what we can say on the topic. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, okay, man. It seems like you're not taking this seriously anymore.
I'm taking this seriously, and I hope that what I'm making in Minecraft doesn't bother you because it doesn't affect what I'm saying about this subject. I mean,
I
you
think it
see, are you serious or Alex Doxa? How do you refer to you? I forgot.
serious.
Okay, serious. So what I wanted to say is that
I'm gonna
at
let you,
first
I'm gonna let you have the last word because if you're not going to take this seriously, then I don't really want to continue the conversation.
I'm taking this serious. I haven't said any bullshit to you, you know. I'm just trying to
I think that
reorganize my brain into multiple.
I think that making like a giant dick out of TNT in Minecraft indicates to me that you're not really taking this seriously anymore. And again, I just don't think that this is going anywhere. If you want to have the last word on the subject
I
before
mean,
we
if you
go, like,
want to end this so badly, I won't protest, but
I do want to end this at this point because I don't feel like we've gotten anywhere. So,
I mean, so you've got all my arguments, right?
yeah.
In my opinion, if you cannot back up your opinion with arguments, is all right. I'll even turn up Minecraft to a bit better. So, how did those criteria, which I believe are objective, come to existence? Basically, in art or basically in anything, to be objective, you have to prove that you're right on something. That you must say something that someone who would theoretically or practically disagree with you wouldn't be able to reply to. For example, in our specific thing, I've said that this shit doesn't belong here because it just doesn't work with anything in the level, because it doesn't look good, and I believe it doesn't look good for a reason, because it just doesn't make any sense. It's just a random shape bug. I have no idea how to explain this in English, no, but you get that I can't explain why I don't like it, because I don't just dislike it just because, and the fact that I dislike it for a reason and some person may like it for no reason doesn't make me any less correct.
Uh, Again, the reasons that you're giving are no different from the reasons somebody else might give for liking it.
I mean, what?
They're not different. The reasons that you are giving are ultimately just grounded in your subjective experience.
Of course, you can take this approach and say that in this world there is nothing objective at all. However, you are sharing my mindset, but you just drew this line between objective and subjective in a different place. So you can go really far when you can measure something. You can say that this also doesn't mean that this is objective, because maybe we have a very wrong idea of what measurement is at all, because we all made this shit up. It's just about where we draw this line between objective and subjective. And I have no idea why do you think that your line is in a more correct spot than mine.
Because I have reasons to think. Well, first of all,
So you just basically agreed
no,
with
no,
me.
no. This is like, it's a more complicated topic because I am like a global relativist about everything. But even beyond that, like even before I was like that, I didn't think art was objective. And there's a pretty good reason for thinking that, which is that there is no measurement criteria that you can give that isn't grounded in some kind of subjective relative experience. Like, you can give a measurement criteria that is true of you that isn't true of somebody else. Whereas we're reasonably confident that between different people, we can all agree that a meter is a meter, and that we can all agree just like some basic set of mathematical principles and logical principles, right? Like we're reasonably uh confident in that. And
I'm
this
reasonably comfortable in that this structure is garbage.
okay, no.
So that's you're basically just saying the same shit I say, but you just draw this line in a different spot.
I don't think that's true because it's a
Why?
verifiable outside of my personal experience. Like I can give somebody the measurements.
But
And
what if someone disagrees that this verification is correct?
okay, again, they would be contradicting something that they actually do agree with, which is that they would be contradicting some principle of logic or mathematics that they actually do on board. That's the difference. Is that if they disagree with me on a math problem, I can show them a math proof and like show how it's
What if they
consistent.
disagree with your math proof?
For in what sense? Like they disagree with the logic, or they disagree that I've made the correct math proof?
They disagree with the logic itself.
If they disagree with the logic itself, then that's fine, which is why I'm a global relativist. Like, but I think that first of all, logic is kind of baked into our experience. Like, we can deny logic if we want, but there's a certain structure to our experience that makes it kind of impossible. And like, when I say universal, it is universal to humans that our experiences are structured in a specific way. So and I mean that actually universal. So we can have some intersubjective criteria for the use of mathematics that we can't really have for something like art.
Why? We can't.
Again, because it's verifiable outside of the observer.
What if someone doesn't agree with the fact it's verifiable? Does it make them right?
What do you mean if they disagree that it's verifiable?
For example, okay, imagine that I'm a flat earther.
Mm-hmm.
You've said that you can take pictures of Earth and prove that it is round, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they disagree.
But they disagree. They disagree with what? That the evidence
The
shows that
pictures
it's round?
are fake. I disagree.
So no,
For
but
example,
that you wouldn't have to that's not what you would have to say, because
do you have
that's
to
not
respect my
analogous. That's not
opinion
a
on that?
The reason it's not analogous, you would have to say that they don't even think that pictures can be used as evidence or something like that.
I disagree. They can be used as evidence.
Okay, sure, you
You have to
disagree.
respect my opinion.
Um no. And again, because I think it doesn't actually comport with your experience. It doesn't actually like, if you thought about it, you would actually like come to the conclusion that the earth is round based on the evidence. Like there's an act like that's the difference. Like there's a pretty big difference between these two things, man. Like it doesn't, like, whether or not I like it to be the case, there is something out there that like is true about my experience. Whereas all of the things that you can say about levels, like you can make objective statements, but when we talk about something being good or bad, that is a subjective judgment. All right? Like maybe there is
So you agree
okay,
we can make objective statements?
we can make objective statements about the level. We can't make objective statements about the quality of the level. There's a difference. Again,
The
like
you
to
and
bring it all the
also
way
wait,
back.
wait, wait.
Okay.
Man, I forgot that there's one huge point I wanted to keep for the last because there is one criteria about levels which I didn't want to unleash this, but you made me.
Okay.
There's one criteria which is 100% objective.
Okay, what is it?
Skill of the creator, my friend.
Um, no, I don't think
The
so.
capacity. No, like Kuluk can do something super realistic. I can't. Isn't that an objective difference?
That they can, sure. I mean, okay, if by objective you just mean they are able to.
Trump card. Please mod this winning guy. I love him.
Vernum, are you gonna listen to me? So first of
Yes.
all, this isn't a quality of the levels. You understand that, right? It's a quality of the creator.
I mean, so you want to say that creators can have different quality, but levels cannot.
Um, that's not what I was saying actually. But can you listen though? Like, if we have
Yes.
something like, if by objective you mean they are able to do something that you can't do, then sure. Or at least they are able to do it more easily. You can say that they are in some sense more skilled, quote unquote. However, I don't think that that makes them a better creator. It just makes them a creator that is able to do more. There's a difference between skill and quality. So somebody can be a skilled creator and not be a quality creator.
For example.
Kulak is a great example. I acknowledge that he is able to do stuff in the editor that I cannot do, and I will never be able to do. I can't do his photorealism shtick. However, I think his photorealism shtick is terrible. Like, I don't think that his levels are good. I
Mhm.
don't like his levels. Um,
I mean, Kolok does a lot of styles.
okay, again, I agree that he does a lot of styles, and some of them are better. Okay, but the point is that if we're talking about my favorite creators, the creators I like, he doesn't even like make the top 10, probably not even the top 20, honestly. Um and maybe you can say that he's very technically skilled at some specific things, but clearly he's not like universally skilled at everything, and he's not skilled at the things that I care about. So
Wait, please tell me what are your favorite creators and what are the things you care about?
Sure. My favorite creators, Millipat, Carmel, Funny Game, Woogie, Majako.
Ramal.
Yeah, Carmel. Sorry, I said Carmel, but Carmel, if that helps you understand who I'm talking about. CW 2003 GB. Um, who else? Durian Head. Um,
So wait, I'll even turn on my screen share again. Kramal, does it stand for Crazy Man 50?
yeah. Well, don't look up. That's not the top one is not Crazy Man 50. That's a
That's subjective.
no. This is a joke channel. You understand?
This is subjective. Okay, I'm
Go
sorry.
to Carmel.
So you're saying that uh let's see. What is your favorite Crazy Man 50 level?
Black Blizzard.
Black Blizzard. Not surprised. So, okay. You want to say that Kuluk can't make something like this? That he isn't universally skilled enough to make this?
Um, I mean, if he is, then he should do it. He should make a level that's as good as Black Blizzard.
I mean, can't make something like this. That he isn't universally skilled enough to make this?
Um, I mean, if he is, then he should do it. He should make a level that's as good as Black Blizzard.
I mean,
Blizzard, that's as what is it?
why your opinion on Kuluk being worse than Crazy Man 50 should be listened to?
Why should it be listened to?
Yes.
Um, I mean, I guess if you don't want to listen to it, then sure, whatever.
I mean, that's not what I asked.
Like, why should it be listened to? If you agree with
To listen to your opinion and I see, like, if Sirius says that this level is good, I should probably avoid it. However, this doesn't make any sense with what you said now, that we can share some interest.
no, again, I was giving an example of like if you disagree with me wholesale. If you don't disagree with me wholesale, then you would need to figure out based on context. Like, you would have to look at what I say about the level, right? But
Yes.
the point is just that there is value in hearing the opinions of people you disagree with. Like, I have friends who have different tastes than me, and when they review levels or they tell me that a level is good, I think about, like, what are their tastes, um what are some things that we agree on, and what are some things we disagree on, and then I think, like, is this
Okay,
worth
so
playing?
let's have a nice conversation. Why Kuluk is a worse creator than Crazy Man 50?
Because I don't think that Kuluk has very inventive gameplay. I don't think that I find his style, like,
Are you familiar with Kuluk gameplays?
um, I mean, not nearly as much as Carmel, but I would have
Can
a
you please name me one Kuluk gameplay so we can look up
sure.
and
How
compare?
about the Emerald Realm one? You
Did
want?
he make the gameplay for
Oh,
himself?
he didn't make that gameplay? Sure. Okay, wait. Then he does he even make gameplay, or does he just decorate? Like, if he doesn't,
Oh, so you're saying that you think that Kuluk, who doesn't make gameplay, makes worse gameplay than
does he
Crazy
make
Man 50.
does he
You,
make gameplay or not?
he doesn't, but you
If
meant
he
to.
doesn't make gameplay, then of course he makes worse gameplay. What do you think?
Why do
Like,
you
that's
think
like
so?
saying that I'm a better basketball player than what's his face? Like, my god, Michael Jordan or something like that, or LeBron James, right? Like, do you understand that how silly this is? Like, if he doesn't make gameplay, then his gameplay is not better than Crazy Man 50's.
You've literally, bro, don't try to hop off the subject. You've literally said that Kolok's gameplay is less innovative
Yeah,
than Crazy Man's
because
gameplay, but you haven't seen
yes.
a single Kolok's gameplay.
Yeah, if he doesn't make hey, hey,
Bro,
You
sorry, sorry,
play
sorry, sorry.
you hmm?
Right.
You don't are you a better basketball player than Michael Jordan?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Then maybe you should join the NBA.
No.
All right.
It's racist.
I'm gonna go now. I feel like I'm
You've
done.
lost the debate.
Sure, buddy. I guess we'll let the historians decide that one. Uh, all right. Take care. Thank you
I
for
don't want to edit. I haven't said everything I wanted to.
well, okay, but I feel like I've gotten everything I wanted to out
Chat,
of this.
let's decide. Should we end this or not?
I'm not leaving it up to chat. You can
Chat, let's decide. He's a fucking fascist.
I'm a
He's not letting you
fascist.
decide.
Okay, buddy. Uh I appreciate that you agreed to this, even though you kind of just started yelling at the end. Um, genuinely, it actually does mean a lot that you agreed to this. Um,
What?
to talking, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. However, you understand that it doesn't really matter when you turn off the stream because it was over at the same moment you've said that Kuluk is a worse gameplay creator than Crazy Man 50. It just has proven that you're delusional and you shouldn't be listened to. That's it.
Okay, buddy. Take care. Oh boy. Holy shit. Guys, I'm a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. I'm a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. No, I've never played basketball in my whole life, but I'm a better basketball player